Okay, Paul, we are going to take on kind of a difficult topic. Ready?
It's a little anxiety provoking.
Yep. How to teach driving skills to your teenager.
This can be a really harrowing experience.
It really can.
We've taught 4 teenagers how to drive, and I know some of you are teaching more than that, and some of you may not be at that point yet. It can be kind of nerve-wracking because, think about it, you're entrusting someone with your most expensive, most dangerous asset.
You know, it really is. I think that we have to be aware of whether our child is really responsible and ready. You know, we talk so often about stage versus age.
Right.
And just because they had their 16th birthday doesn't necessarily mean that they're 100% ready to get behind the wheel, because it is a tool. Right. It is actually a weapon. It can be. It's a very dangerous tool that we're putting our child behind. So make sure that they're in the right stage, that they are presenting with responsibility.
They and us.
Yeah, we got to be in the mental place too.
Everybody's got to be ready for this, and you may not ever feel fully ready for this as a parent, but at least be in that space where you're like, okay, I'm ready. I can take this on, because keeping your cool is going to be an important part of this. And your teen, I think you've introduced this nicely, Vicki. It's about stage, not age. Not every teenager is ready at the same point to take on the responsibilities of driving. Some of them don't even want to.
Yeah. We had a couple of kids, at least one that waited until a little while longer, just weren't ready right then. So.
Yes, and that's okay. Vicki, I think one of the things that makes this hard is that we see things through our own filters, through our own lenses. And if you've been driving for years or decades, there's a lot of things that come very naturally to you that will not come naturally to your teenager when they get behind that wheel.
So we want to be patient, but I think it's really important also to remember that there's a difference between being good and being experienced.
Okay, so we're talking about skills versus kind of the programmed experience that comes over time.
So your teenager may have some really great skills and they know the information, but they don't have the experience yet. So just be, I think, really cautious not to say you're a bad driver, because that is probably not true. They haven't even driven long enough to truly prove that one way or another.
I thought of an example of where this is very true. When you're driving, to remain safe, you have to be aware of what's happening in 360 degrees around this car. And in some news stories I've seen, even up and down is a concern. There's a small plane that landed on a freeway not too long ago. This comes naturally to you because you practiced it enough.
It's experience.
It's almost like a second awareness that's going on, and it's not conscious. It's more of a subconscious awareness. Your kids don't have that yet. So you'll be like, didn't you see that? No. They didn't, because they're not trained or experienced enough to see that yet.
And that brings in another tip that we can give you is, as you're driving, talk about some of the different things. What is the speed limit right here? How many cars are parked along? Did you see the cars that are parked? We're coming up to a big intersection. You're going to want to watch for the cross traffic if they're going to stop at the light. So you're kind of talking them through the things that for you have become second nature, but that's only because you have experience.
These preparatory exercises can happen before they ever get behind the wheel. So as you're anticipating that your teen will be getting their learner's permit or soon getting into the driver's seat of that car, as they're riding in the car with you in the driver's seat, you can start to ask them questions. What's the speed limit here? And they're like,
become aware of it, right?
Yes, because they haven't ever tracked that before. And then they'll see a sign. Oh, it's 35. Good.
Or maybe how many cars are stopping at this four-way stop?
Right. Is there a child in the yard across the street? See, and then they can start to practice that before they ever get behind the wheel. That's a key component. Here's another tip. Start small. Start
Definitely.
slow. Don't put them on the freeway in the middle of a snowstorm in the middle of the night. Okay, towing a trailer.
Right. Empty
Leave
parking.
out the complication.
Right.
Empty parking lot.
You know, I actually love Costco parking lot. They have really big parking stalls. Great place to learn parking. But find a place.
But not Costco on Saturday afternoon.
No. Yeah.
We're talking Costco, on Monday
holiday.
morning before they open. or the church on a Thursday night. Find an empty space. Now they get to practice some of these skills in there until they gain a certain level of competence, and then you can venture out onto the streets. Even then, you're going to start with back streets. You're going to start slow. This helps them too because there's less anxiety. I have talked to some parents, Vicki, where they're like, I'm just going to throw them in. This sink or swim. Not in my car, it's not. So take it slow. Do yourself a favor, do them a favor. Vicki, earlier you mentioned that the questions are helpful to raise the awareness. What's the speed limit here? It's easy as a parent to jump into like drill sergeant mode and telling them what they're doing wrong. Like, you're going too fast.
Yeah.
Which causes them to be more tense. So we can use that same question to coach them and guide them through the question, what's the speed limit here?
Well, and that also helps them to learn the self-regulation, because at some point you're not going to be in the car with them. And if they're always relying on you telling them if they're going too fast, that's not as productive as them constantly monitoring and changing it for themselves.
Right. And give them plenty of notice when you're giving directions. So we're going to be turning left in one more block.
Right. I have a special needs niece who has the most uncanny directional sense. She can get anywhere she's been before. But what happens is I'll take her maybe to her skating class. And as we pass it, she goes, turn there. As we've just passed it. So make sure you give your new driver lots of time. Say, we're going to get in the left lane because about 3 blocks down, we're going to want to turn left. So.
We acknowledged earlier that there are certain situations in driving that are easier than others. Full daylight, no cloud in the sky, on a very rural kind of a street. That's a different experience from being in the thick of freeway traffic during rush hour, or driving in a snowstorm or a blizzard, or having...
Or State Street construction.
A construction zone where you have to move all over the place. So be very selective about that. We want them to have some successful experiences early on. That gives them some confidence. It helps them to develop the basic skill sets and the awareness that's necessary. We talked about that 360-degree awareness that they're not going to be able to tune into if you throw them into the hard stuff first.
But probably the most important that we can go with is just remember, stay calm.
Oh, did we mention stay calm?
It's going to take some effort on your part, but stay calm.
I remember my kids telling me, Dad, you're making me nervous. Because I was nervous, right?
Yeah.
So do some breathing, do some self-care, whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. We got other videos about that. I hope you survived this, and I'm glad that you're here. Would you please share this video with someone else? You know somebody who's teaching their teenager how to drive.
Go to our channel and subscribe, and you'll get lots more information that's going to help you be a great parent.
I saw her standing in the street alone. Her head was down, face locked onto the phone.